Thank you, Moses, for that introduction, and I appreciate the opportunity to share with you all some of the updates about VHA healthcare for our female veterans, those services that they have served and earned, and we definitely strive to be the healthcare leader of choice for our women veterans. Now, one of the reasons why we continue to talk about women is because there's a lot of us. There's the the rate of women veterans that receive health care in our system continues to grow, and that trajectory is not stopping. Over the past 10 years, there was a 79% growth in women veterans who receive health care services from the VA. And in 2017, there's a little over 700,000 women enrolled in VA health care. And within VISN 6, we have a little over 60,000 women who are enrolled in our system and about 50 who actually receive care from us. So, which is one of the reasons why we continue to emphasize. And Terry and Annette touched on the growth rate of women. I just want to underscore the overall rate that women, the growth of female veterans surpasses that of male veterans. Well, the past couple of years in Network 6, we've seen, a 3.5 to 4% growth of our overall veteran population. And within those same couple of years, there's been a 6.5 to 7% growth rate of women. So again, we always need to be cognizant of the amount of women that's coming in and what are the unique healthcare challenges that they face. So in addition to the increased number of women, we're also looking at a very diverse population of women. So even yes, we know that they are the fastest growing, but they're younger, they're racially diverse. There's a multitude of mental health conditions, sexual trauma, musculoskeletal injuries, and conditions that women have faced. So again, what does that say to us as a healthcare organization? Well, one of the things I wanted to just highlight with those musculoskeletal conditions is, in this slide here, I just love this slide, because when you take a woman that is 120 pounds, and she has all of this on her back, that rucksack, the rifle, the Kevlar, all of these things that she's carrying on her, that's roughly 110 pounds. So you have a 120-pounder carrying 110 pounds days and weeks and months and years on end. So that's one of the main reasons why we're seeing such a high rate in those musculoskeletal conditions and injuries in women. And Women's Health Services absolutely recognize that. And one of the things that occurred a couple years ago was that there was a grant that Women's Health Services put out nationally, and I'm proud to say that Durham actually was one of the facilities that was awarded that grant to address that exact condition, musculoskeletal conditions for primary care providers. So improving their training, their ability to recognize those injuries, and not only recognize it, but of course get the appropriate treatment and diagnosis for them. Additionally, that we want women to choose us. We want to be the healthcare provider of choice. So what exactly does that mean? What do we need to do to be that provider of choice? Well, as the program as a whole, there's been an significant increase in the number of primary care providers that care for women, over 3,400 across the country. There's gynecologists, 196 across the country. These are at our not military treatment facilities, our medical centers. And at Network 6, we have a gynecologist at each of our medical centers, in addition to a part-time one at the Greenville Healthcare Center. And actually, that's a first in the country, because no other medical center had a gynecologist on staff at a healthcare center or a CBOC. So I'm happy that need was addressed, and we actually want to look at what are those other unique needs that we need to bring that gynecological care actually to the healthcare centers. Now, in mammography, there's 60 across the country, and additional mammography uh, mammography centers are opening up. And again, Network 6 is a first in that we have a mobile mammography van that services our healthcare centers, that in Greenville and in Wilmington HCC. And in telehealth, and I'll speak a little bit more about telehealth. There's myriad of telehealth services, telegyne, which primarily is consultative in nature, telemental health, looking at individual care, but also those group classes, and telewellness, and expanding that to the whole health model, and whether it is exercise or healthy eating, and telepharmacy. Now, one thing that the organization is moving forward on is expanding the tele-primary care, and women's primary care clinics are absolutely included in that expansion of tele-primary care. Now, yes, we want women to come to us, but another reason why we want them to come is because of quality of care and services. I mentioned earlier on that she deserves the best care anywhere, and part of that best care, of course, we have quality metrics. We would not be the organization we are without a myriad of quality metrics, but the I didn't go with the quality metrics that the VHA is leading the country in breast cancer and cervical cancer screening, that above the private sector and Medicaid. Now I'll go back to this slide, and speaking to the primary care that's available for women, the breast and cervical cancer screenings, definitely chronic conditions, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, cholesterol, uh, smoking cessation classes, the movement and weight management classes, the myriad is available. These are gender-specific classes. Now, the VA also offers a continuum of mental health services for women. I'm not going to read them all, but I will highlight the eating disorder one because, again, this is another very proud announcement that Salisbury was granted an award. This is one of 8 awards that were available nationally for a multidisciplinary eating disorder treatment team, and what these teams will get the training to really implement a comprehensive eating disorder program, and with the hopes of expanding that program not only within their facilities, but hopefully at the network level as well, because there is a huge need for eating disorder treatment facilities nationwide. Suicide prevention, it's already been mentioned that suicide prevention is absolutely one of the Secretary's initiatives, and it's absolutely something that we hold near and dear to our heart. Now, women veterans die sick at a rate of 6 times higher than non-veterans. And women veterans that use the VA services have a lower incidence of suicide rates. So again, we want our women to come to us to address their healthcare needs, where there's a full continuum of gender-specific services for within the mental health programs, and there's peer support specialists that's available in the women's clinic. And not only within the actual women's clinic, but of course there's peer support specialists available within mental health care. And of course there's the crisis treatment line, the crisis hotline that's available. Now, veterans are very comfortable with owning and handling weapons. And there is a higher likelihood of using firearms as a method of suicide. That may explain some of the differences in the suicide rates, but women who die of suicide are 18% more likely than civilian women to use a firearm as a method of death. And we're also seeing a higher incidence among women veterans that have a higher degree of suicide. Firearm suicide rates among women veterans are increasing than those that are non-women. So again, well, we know these statistics, so what are we going to do about it? One of the things that we can do to reduce injury is gun safety and gun locks. Now, women veterans are more likely to own and handle guns than non-veteran women. So we all need to discuss gun locks, gun safety, proper storage, and handling to reduce the impulsive use of guns during that time of crisis. So, if you encounter a veteran that is in crisis, of course, we want to ensure that they receive the help that they need. But also, we also want to help with the gun safety. So the VA provides free gun locks to veterans that look like this, and they're available through the suicide prevention coordinator. And I also have a few with me on hand if anyone's interested in taking some back with them. In addition to primary care needs, we have a host of reproductive health care options for women, contraception, preconception care, GYN, the whole gambit. Now, the one thing that I want to highlight is something new. In vitro fertilization is a new benefit that's available to veterans. Now, only a small group of veterans, so that those that are seriously injured and they have a service-connected injury or illness that has rendered them to be infertile. They must be legally married, and if there's any additional information you need, please don't hesitate to contact myself or to your local Women Veterans Program Manager. Now, we mentioned that, I mentioned that we're seeing younger women in our facilities. Actually, it is that aging population, that 45 to 65%, the 45 to 65-year-old groups, that's our largest number of women veterans. So knowing what their health care needs are is very essential, and ensuring
Please mute
that
your
we're
phone.
able to maintain, they're able to maintain their independence as long as possible and independent functioning. So we have a host of prosthetic equipment that's available for women. Of course, she needs to be enrolled in VHA healthcare. However, that is mobility devices, gender specific and racially appropriate limbs, breast pumps, maternity belts, the whole gambit of prosthetic devices. Now, with care coordination, that is historically women veterans receive more care in the community than male veterans, and that's primarily due to the services that are not available in our brick and mortar. However, we coordinate that care in the community, and we know that there's multiple changes that's continuing to go on within that program. But we're just looking to see what we need to do in order to improve upon that care coordination. Now, the promotion of complementary integrative health, that kind of speaks to this whole health that the VHA is absolutely on board with, and expanding those services. So mind-body techniques, tai chi, massage, yoga, art and music, that is all available at our medical center. Now, research continues to occur specifically on and for women veterans, and within the last 5 years, there has been more research that has been published for female veterans in the last 25 years combined. And so there's this link that is on the slide that's available for you to take a look at the various research that's out there and published material that's also specific to various healthcare issues such as cardiovascular health in women, and the state of women's health within our organization. Now, culture change continues to occur, and there's a big need for that. Now, this has been going on for several years now, but there is one culture change initiative that I want to speak briefly on, which is End Harassment campaign. And this is not harassment for employee to employee or employee to veteran, because we have a process that has been clearly established for many, many years. But this is harassment, veteran to veteran harassment. This is the cat calls that female veterans get when they come to our facilities, or the stares, or the inappropriate remarks that occur in our inpatient units. This is about holding other veterans accountable for the things that occur. And so this campaign was there was a work group that was established by the secretary to address this. And again, the Women's Health Services it launched a campaign, but it is truly about making our facilities more welcoming and holding veterans accountable for their actions. And so very excited about that. So when you go into our facilities, you may see signage up, but hopefully it's not only about signage, it's about a difference in the interactions that occur within our facilities. That's what we want. And so I know that changing a culture takes years to do, and it's going to be more than signage, but we hope to see that change and definitely having that leadership involvement, because there are 22% of veterans, female veterans, verbalize that they do experience some form of harassment when they come to our facilities, which makes them to not want to come to us for care. Now, the Women's Veteran Call Center continues to accept inbound calls, and they make outbound calls, and there's a chat line that was set up back in 2016 to answer those specific questions that women have about not only VHA, but it's our VBA and apps and cemetery services available.